Anne Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, adapted by Ari Folman, illustrations by David Polanski. Cast of characters: the Frank family. Anne Frank, Margot Frank, Anne's sister, 3 years older. Otto Frank, or Pim, Anne's father. Edith Frank, Anne's mother. The other residents. Real names are in brackets. Peter Van Dan, or Peter Van Peltz. Petronella Van Dan, Madame. Auguste Van Peltz, Peter's mother. Herman Van Dan, Herman Van Peltz, Peter's father. Albert Dussel, the dentist, Fritz Pfeffer. The helpers: Johannes Jo Kleiman, an accountant at Opekta and Pektakon, Otto Frank's companies. Victor Kugler, an Opekta employee. Bep Voskuil, a secretary at Opekta and the daughter of employee Johann Voskuil. Miep Gies, Otto Frank's secretary. Jan Gies, Miep's husband. And Johann Voskuil, Bep's father and the warehouse manager at Opekta. Friday, June 12th to Saturday, June 20th, 1942. No one would believe me, but at the age of 13, I feel totally alone in this world. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister. What are you waiting for, Anne? Come and open your presents. Hannalie and Jacqueline are supposedly my best friends, but I've never had a real friend. She does like to be at the center of attention, doesn't she? I have a throng of admirers who can't keep their adoring eyes off me. Anne, come down. I can't live without you. Rob, go home. I swear I'm going to call the police. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary, everyday things. Much as I try, I can't get any closer to people. That is why, as soon as I saw you among my other presents, I knew you were special. So, you are going to be the closest friend I never had in my life. And I'm going to call this friend Kitty. Dear Kitty, I hope I will be able to confide everything to you, as I have never been able to confide in anyone, and I hope you will be a great source of comfort and support. I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life. My father and mother married in Germany in 1925. It was not love at first sight. Does it bother you that I am much older? How would I know? You're my first one. My sister Margot was born in 1926. Isn't she the prettiest baby ever? You shouldn't say that, darling. It'll bring bad luck. I came into the world 3 years later, Anneliese Marie Frank. Goodness, she's even prettier than her sister. You'll bring bad luck if you say that. According to whom? To us Jews, of course. Being Jewish was not so important in our home. Mother did come from a traditional background, but we kept things religion-free. But then the Nazis came along and defined us Jews as different after all. Does this veterinarian only treat Jewish animals? No, but he is treated like an animal only because he is Jewish. When the Nazis came to power, their aim was to remove the Jews from German society. Even though Jews were less than 1% of the population, the Nazis believed we were the root of all evil. All my Jewish friends in the civil service have been fired. This will only get worse. It's time to make a move. Believing Holland was safe for Jews, Father moved to Amsterdam in 1933 to run Opekta, a company that manufactured a secret stabilizer for jam. Mother and Margot followed a bit later, while I stayed in Germany with Grandma. On Margot's 8th birthday, I came from Germany as a surprise present, and our family was finally reunited. Life in Holland was beautiful. We had such freedom. We went ice skating all the time, and even took ski holidays in the Swiss Alps. The bad signs of what was about to happen began when Uncle Uli came from Hamburg. He had fled from Germany, and he told us how horrific life had become for Jews there. Nazis burned down synagogues and Jewish-owned shops and smashed their windows. They also burned books that were about Jewish culture or written by Jews. Jews were fleeing, finding shelter wherever they could. There are rumors of a labor camp in Dachau, where the Nazis send anyone who isn't German enough. But what do they do to those people there? I can only imagine. Dear Kitty, who could imagine that after we ran away from the German horrors, the Nazis would invade Holland and it would start all over again? Jews! Out of the water now! Get out! Why are they? Because they think Jews will spread dangerous germs in the water. You see, Kitty, no trams for Jews anymore, not to mention cars. At least we can still ride our bikes. 2 weeks later, no bikes. So now we can't go to parks. We can't even be out on the streets after dark. And we're not allowed to visit Christian friends. At least the moon has no religion. I need to go to the bathroom. Me too, but with all these restrictions, I don't know if we're allowed to. Wednesday, June 24th to Wednesday, July 1st, 1942. Dearest Kitty, recently Mother is always asking me who I'm going to marry when I grow up. But I bet she'll never guess it's my classmate Peter Schiff, because I talked her out of that idea myself, without batting an eyelash. I love Peter, whom I call Peter, as I've never loved anyone, and I tell myself he's only going around with other girls to hide his feelings for me. Dearest Kitty, it's sweltering. Everyone is huffing and puffing, and in this heat I have to walk everywhere. Only now do I realize how pleasant a tram is, but we Jews are no longer allowed to make use of this luxury. Our own 2 feet are good enough for us. There are still some good people out there. The ferryman at Josef Israelstad took us across when we asked him to. It's not the fault of the Dutch that we Jews are having such a bad time. I don't perform for Jewish swine. Dear Kitty, it's only been a few days since we spoke, but a lot has changed. Anne! Something unexpected happened yesterday when I walked past the bicycle lane. I'm Hello, don't you remember me? Wilma's second cousin. Oh, yes. Can I accompany you to school? It almost looked as if he'd been waiting for me all night. From that day on, Hello was waiting for me every morning. It was obvious he was desperately in love with me, and everybody was talking about it. He looks old enough to be her uncle. Doesn't he have a girlfriend? He is so boring. How can you stand it? Talking about boys again, Anne? I find him kind of sweet, very polite, clean, decent looking. It doesn't matter. I'll never fall in love with him anyway. Well, I like him, and at least I don't have to worry about you wandering the dangerous streets alone, now that Hello's always by your side. Do you have another girlfriend? I do, well. But every time she talks to me for more than 5 minutes straight, I fall asleep for 2 hours. Blah 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 blah. It's after curfew. You know Jews must be home by 8 p.m. Mr. Kleiman and Mr. Kugler took over Father's company. Sunday, July 5th to Saturday, July 11th, 1942. Daddy, why have things been disappearing from the house? Furniture, books, clothes. We wouldn't want the Nazis to seize them, would we, my love? I understood immediately what he meant. I realized we were going into hiding, but I couldn't imagine where our hiding place would be. Dearest Kitty, it seems like years since Sunday morning. So much has happened. On Sunday afternoon I came back home from a stroll with Hello and found Margot and Mother on the couch. Margot was crying and Mother was hugging her. Mother never hugs her. Margot received a call-up notice from the SS. We all knew what a call-up from the Nazi SS meant. But I also knew Father would never let it happen. Margot and I immediately started packing our most important belongings into a satchel. Just imagine trying to choose what to take for a life in hiding. It was almost impossible. I stuck the craziest things in, but I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. Don't you think you should pack something useful? Useful? Since when has being useful made anyone happy in this life? At midnight, Miep and Jan Gies from Father's company arrived. They took away our belongings to the place where we would be hiding. Darling Moortje, I can't believe this is the last time we'll snuggle together. Mother woke us at 5:30 the next morning. The 4 of us were wrapped in so many layers of clothes you would not believe it. You know, Anne, perhaps you were right about the memories. The plan was to make everything look as if we'd run away in a hurry. Father left a note for the neighbor saying we'd fled to Switzerland. I was terrified. The people we passed were obviously very sorry for us. There was danger lurking on every street corner. Those Jews, never warm enough for them. What a huge surprise it was to arrive at Father's office. The staff had been informed of our coming, and they welcomed us warmly. Then I realized how tricky it was to get around Father's office building. The front is all offices and storerooms. But no one would suspect that the back contains a whole apartment. A very steep staircase, then a cleverly built bookcase that swings out and leads to the secret annex. Our room is so tiny. Think about the trains going east, then the room will seem huge. Say goodbye to moonlight. After we arrived in the annex, we learned that Mr. and Mrs. Van Daan and their son Peter would be hiding with us. I can't understand why Father gave the Van Daans the biggest, most comfortable room. Why not? It's just like Father to do that. It took some time before I was able to write to you. I was worried I might have writer's block, but I am eager to tell you everything. You no doubt want to hear what I think of being in hiding. Well, all I can say is that I don't really know yet. I don't think I'll ever feel at home in this house, but that doesn't mean I hate it. It's more like being on holiday in some strange hotel. On our first evening in the annex, we gathered in the Van Daans' room, which is also our shared living room, to listen to the BBC radio broadcast from London.